Everybody, welcome to the first of my wonderful quirky builds here on the channel. We're looking at Path of Exile 2 builds, and specifically we're going to be looking today at an Infernalist build. I'm currently level 89, and this is actually my first ever Path of Exile builds. I want to show you the premise of the build and give you some ideas for you to build around using the same mechanics that I've got here on this specific setup, and let you guys play around with it. So this build is, say it's an Infernalist build. It is creating explosions using my skeletons, and the Deidbell is the unit that changes my war cries to explode corpses. So if you can see here, the unique part of this helmet is corpses in your presence explode when you war cry, dealing 12% of their life as physical damage. Now this is actually inherently a warrior helmet because they also have a passive that does the same sort of thing with war cries. But what we're going to do is focus on that measly 12% of life, and we're going to pump that into our own skeletons and have basically huge AoE damage, and it actually works really well. I quite like this build, it's quite fun, and I should think this build actually possibly plays well into the warrior as well. But we're on the witch and the elementalist, and I'm going to show you how this this setup plays, and it's yeah, I've quite enjoyed it, and it's being my first ever build in Path of Exile 2. I tried to make it quite different and unique. Basically I use the shield resonance on my front hand to reduce resistances, and then the backhand I summon my minions, and you can see straight away I've blown them up, and that is using the seismic cry. And then I can follow up with a second seismic cry, which then will explode the corpses of the mobs that I've just killed. So it's like a double whammy. And then I've also got the infernal cry as a backup, just in case my seismic cry goes on cooldown and I can't use it and spam it, because it also is a kind of like a push out when you're killing hitting mobs. It does like push them out, so it's quite a defensive one as well. It's a 3 skill build. There's only 3 here, but with the front bar back bar weapon swap, we do actually have quite a lot of skills, and we have kind of maxed out on this, so I will go through those and explain to you what I've chosen on the front and back bar. Level 89 at the moment. There's a lot of scope for optimizing gear. It's a level 18 scepter. I could probably get 2 gem slots in my helmet. That's a level 165 chest piece. I mean, there's so much play for this. The main things you want for damage are obviously anything that increases your minion life. So I've got plus 47% increased minion life to my scepter there, because obviously more life equals more damage, or that 12%. There's also lowering resistances and armor, which is why we use the resonating shield, because we actually are breaking armor and we're using that skill. And then the other one is using in your passive tree the kind of like global physical damage as well. So we're focused on physical damage. So before we go into the skills, I want to go through the setup for the skills with the front bar back bar setup. This is quite important. For your front bar scepter, make sure you don't go for the minion scepter or another minion scepter, because if those minions die, it will reset the spawn count on your minions, making it longer for them to respawn. And it's important that you set up your abilities like this as well. So Seismic Cry and Infernal Cry, these are both back bar skills. Your Resonating Shield is a front bar skill, and you need this so that as soon as you proc your minion explosion, go back to Resonating Shield and it will go back to your front weapon set, which means that your sacrifice penalty for reviving, which is 28% more slowly, is gone, because that's on the back bar. So the front bar speeds up the minion revival time, which means that you can then proc it again using the Infernal and Seismic Cry. Skeletal Warrior setup is effectively only on the back bar, so you 19 skeletons or whatever max you can get on the back bar and 0 on the front bar. Grim Feast you want to get from your minions, but also from the mobs that you kill, so you want that front and back bar. Magma Barrier is a front bar only ability, because you want to maximize your skeletons, as is Blasphemy and also Time of Need, because obviously you want to make sure that you can spawn the most amount of minions on the skeletal warriors. So that's how you load that setup up. You can change magma barrier. Magma barrier is definitely not a must. You can probably put something else in there as well. But yeah, it's crucial that you do it this way round. Otherwise, you'll find that when you proc the minions on the bang, this cooldown up here, if you reset that because you have another minion up, that is not good. All right, and what you find if you just proc it and then do a left mouse button or whatever is your primary attack, it will throw you onto the front bar straight away, which means that will reset. And when you're out in the wild, that you can probably proc at 2 seconds like that when you're out. Have a little test on it, but it's quite important for this setup. But let's go through the skills anyway and the gems I've got allocated into this. Purity of Fire, which is actually from the Sacred Flame Scepter, and I was playing around with this as a damage debuff when I'm playing with my mates, because obviously the interesting thing about this one is enemies in your presence resist elemental damage based on the lowest resistances, which means that it just kind of helps if you've got people doing other sorts of damage as well. So yeah, that's why I had that in the front hand. The main one is the shield though, because that's where the damage comes from for the shield resonance, because it scales with your armor and also block chance based on the passage that I got in my passage tree. We'll go through that in a bit. Skeletal Warrior is on the back bar, and that is based on my scepter there. So I've got a couple of skeletals there. No, I'm not too fussed about the specifics in skill gems here. We've got Bloodlust and Devastate and Infernal Legion. These actually don't do anything because we're actually blowing them up, so kind of pointless. If I'm scrolling down, right, the first of my abilities is this Seismic Cry. Now, I'm using Corrupting Cry on this. I like the fact that I can add a dot based on my strength, and I can stack strength on this build. The more strength I have, the more spirit I have, and therefore the more minions I have. But Corrupting Cry actually does damage based on 25% of your strength, so that is a nice little dot. I've also got 40% less cost because I can spam this attack, and then I've got increased cooldown recovery rate in case I do end up proccing a stun and it goes into cooldown. This speeds up that process. Infernal Cry, I've gone for the Empowered for 50% more damage if I'm using my shield. That kind of works on there. I've got Magnified Effect for the 40% increased area, and then I've got Rage. Skills grant 4 rage per 5 power encountered enemies in range. Rage, I don't know if it scales with that Warcry explosion from the corpses, but I've just popped that in anyway for the Resonating Shield. Resonating Shield, now this is the armor breaker, so to speak. And on the skill, let's read through this quickly. Hit breaks 1,298 armor, break 20% increased armor, 78 to 117 base off physical damage, offhand physical damage, and 6 to 8 added physical damage per 15 armor on shield. Now my shield currently does well, what's that, 1,130 armor, so that's quite a decent amount of armor on a shield. And then what else we got? Can't be empowered by war cries. Okay, so that doesn't get empowered by that. Right, you can see I'm a bit rusty on this one. A break armor equal to 15% of the physical damage. We do quite a lot of physical damage with this, so that does help. And then stun threshold. So, but you know, stun threshold, I find on the higher end level maps, when you're getting stunned quite a lot, it can interrupt the flow. So I put this on this one to kind of give me that sort of resistance. Skeletal Warriors. Now this is the crucial one. This is where you want to pump up and juice up your boys, so to speak. So minion modifier got 114% increased maximum life. That's going to the back bar. When we go on our back bar, that increases though. This is when the things go bam. Is 369% increased minion life. So the total life is 28,541. Now I believe the brutes have more life, but you can only cast less of them. So at the moment, I've gone for the Skeletal Warriors on this. Minions from supportive skills explode when reduced to low life. That doesn't do anything because again, our minions are not getting to low life; they actually are just dying. And then +1 to level or supported minion skills. Obviously, we want to kind of boost that number up. Now, there is a passive where you can get +3 to skeletal minions. It is expensive, being obviously people with skeleton builds, so I haven't got that, and we're kind of stuck at the moment at level 24. But no doubt we can improve on that and get level 20, and then we can get those +3 from our passive tree. Sacrifice is very important, and bear in mind that both Skeletal Warrior, Sacrifice and Green Feast are all back bar skills. This is when I'm got my my scepter, my rattling scepter on. I don't need any passives in that because all I want to do is blow minions up when I'm activating the Seismic Cry or the Infernal Cry on my back bar. Grim Feast is going to be active on both bars because I want to get the little remnants from not only my skeletons. So if I show you here, if I blow up my skeletons, they give me a juicy amount of remnants, which is always going to keep on pumping up my life shield. And I can blow up mine. If I'm in the middle of a boss fight and I'm low on shields, I can just blow up my minions and then pick up those and get more shields. So it's really, really strong, keeps that sustain going. Got a huge amount of shield as well with Grim Feast, which is overpowered, but I think we all know that. Even if they nerf that though, the fact that I can just regenerate those whenever I want is massive. The cooldown doesn't apply in my own caravan, but or my own hideout, but it is about 4 seconds, so that's fine. We can get that up pretty quickly. So with Never Thought of Shield, excuse me, with Never Thought of Shield regeneration, which makes this extremely high, and the survivability of it. On the front bar, I've got Magma Barrier. This is for when I'm blocking, just to add a little bit of extra fire damage. We've gone for Daze and a chance to inflict bleeding, you know, a little bit more dots. And then increase the ignite duration of enemies. I think there's scope to increase this and play around with the Magma Barrier, and if you're actually expecting decks, you could go for more of a poison build on this, but yeah, it requires more decks, and I haven't got a huge amount of decks on this build. Blasphemy for the resistance, reduction of vulnerability, heightened curse, persistence, and then flammability. Now, when I switch bars, bear in mind that these resistances will disappear. So what we want to do is break the armor as quick as possible, then switch the back bar and then blow them up, physical damage from the minions. And then as a sort of nice little help, we've got a Time of Need level 17 buff, which is just fast forward. So that pings every 7 seconds as opposed to every 11 seconds, and gives me a little bit of life, because our life regeneration isn't that massive on this build because we're actually basing it on shield. And as you can see, due to the reservation skill slots based on my ascendancy class, we actually are reserving half of my life. So I've gone down from 2,300 to 1,200, but the shield is up at 10,000, so don't worry about that being reserved. It is okay. So going on to the gear, front bar setup, as mentioned, we got the Sacred Flame Shrine Scepter. There's possibilities to change that around with the fact that resistances flip when you change front bar and back bar. Shield for a nice amount of block chance, armor, more damage there. You could throw some more resistances on this depending on what you do, but that's quite a decent roll shield, that. Necklace, Spirit, you want to try and max Spirit here. Chaos Resistance, increased cast speed, which is irrelevant. Increased critical damage. I was kind of like trying to focus towards crit at the end of making this build, messing around with it. Chest piece, we want to go for evasion. We want to go for energy shield, not evasion. Energy shield is the key here. So this armor piece needs upgrading. We can get more resistances on. Obviously, more spirit the better. More life the better. So yeah, this is basically the best I had without trading and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, energy shield is the focus on here, and for the gems you want to go for more energy shield, but there is possibility to go for resistances if you haven't capped. On the glove, same thing, energy shield and resistances. Same for belt. I mean, this is basically it. And strength is kind of like one of the weird ones with the Infernalist, because the more strength you have, the more life you have, the more life you have, the more spirit you have. So you might want to focus down getting your strength up and getting more life going. And obviously we talked about the war cry giving more damage based on its corrupting cry. So yeah, that's them. On the back bar, we've gone for the skeletal scepter. I mentioned before, minions have increased maximum life is the key here, as well as increased spirit. The more spirit equals the more minions. I mean, this scepter's got plenty of room to be swapped and adjusted. We could be hitting into the 200 spirit, which would give me another 2 more minions to blow up, which is more damage. So again, there's more stuff here, and the +4 to level of minions. When you hit +5, it gets expensive. So I went for a +4 one with the maximum life. I would like more spirit, but you're going for a 3 there. It's quite difficult to get. Allies in your presence is kind of irrelevant here because the guys, my little minion dudes, they blow up, and that doesn't really affect them. So you want here minion skills, increased maximum life, and spirit. Those are the focus on there. And the rings, I've just gone for more basic, just resistances really here on that. So it's quite a simple build loadout, and you can buy this fairly cheap actually. The shields would probably be fairly expensive. The Deidbell unique is cheap as chips. And then you can play around maximum your resistances and building up your strength. Just to go on my stats very quickly, life is 2,407, obviously split in half with the reserve. My shield is 5,516, which 11,000 with Grim Feast, which is pretty decent. Mana 855, spirit 443, plenty of scope to boost it up. Strength 195, dex 19, intelligence 229. Armor on the back bar is 20%. When I flip over to the front bar when I'm on defensive mode is 55%. That is based on my passives, so I'm quite defensive of my front bar as I'm using Resonating Shield and I do block. 65% block. If I could squeeze an extra 10% block out, I would generate an extra 20% more damage based on my passives, which we're going to go through in just a second. But I am quite far away from those little nodes, so I might not make that last 10%. But still 65% is 130% extra damage, which is juicy, based on, again, passive nodes. Resistances maxed out, which is fairly decent, and yeah, that's probably about it for the character stats. So the passive tree, we have gone for a front bar, back bar setup to maximize on the node choices. I've gone for the full 24 on this. On the front bar, I've gone for curses as a means to reduce resistances based on physical and flame. And then on the back bar, when I flip over, I've gone for maximum life on the minions, which is where my main damage comes from. So my let's do front bar setup. I've gone for zone of control, curse area there, so they're active on my front bar setup, and then I've come down here as well and dropped into Fated End. Fated End is really good because enemies cursed by you have 50% reduced life generation, which is great for those guys that have life regeneration, those pesky guys. So you can make sure that they don't regenerate while you're debuffing and waiting for that cooldown for your mobs to respawn again, or your minions. And then on the back bar, which is obviously where my minions come alive, I have gone for maximum life for them. So all of these, I've gone for the 20% maximum life and vile mending, etc. And all the way up here, I've gone all these are my green nodes as well. I have kept on the front bar minions revive faster because obviously when I'm switching, I still want that cooldown to reset as quick as possible, which is why I've gone over here with that. Another thing I've done, being shield wielding, is the offensive stance. 1% increased damage per 1% chance to block, which gives me that 65% extra damage. And then on my necklace, I've gone for the Lay Siege enchantment, which is another 1% increased damage per 1% chance to block, which doubles that. So it's 65% chance to block is 130% extra damage, which is very, very nice. And then just a little bit of extra recoup life here on the front bar while I'm being defensive. I've gone for this little area over here, and I will put this I will do a path of building on this because I want to remember it as well before it gets wiped. On the ascendancies, I've gone 1 down to Loyal Hellhound. I haven't got Loyal Hellhound because it can interrupt in your flow when you are blowing things up. It will reset your counter for your minions if it dies on the front bar, which is a real pain. So I got rid of it, and instead I went for just for the minion life and the life percent over here, which is obviously more life equals more spirit, based on these 2 reservations. So as you come over from the top, you've got 3% maximum life, Altered Flesh, 20% cold damage taken as fire damage, lightning damage taken as fire damage, and physical damage taken as chaos damage. Then we go on first branch is 3% increased maximum life, Bidate's Hand, a reserve 25% life, +1 to maximum energy shield per 8 maximum life. So we want to stack life, is more energy shield. It's the first one, and then the second one is Bidate's Will is 25% of life. Reservation gives you +1 to maximum spirit per 25 maximum life. So again, we're kind of stacking life to stack energy shield and to stack spirit. And so this reservation, while it might seem a bit scary, it gives you a huge energy shield and obviously more spirit, which is why the Infernalist, I suppose, is considered fairly strong. You want to make sure you pick up the energy shield nodes as you're going through the tree, because they obviously increase your survivability. And the jewels I've got so far are based on error effect. Weapon swap speed is fairly useful because we are swapping quite a lot. And the other one is global physical damage, and stun threshold there is fairly useful. Minions increase maximum life. There's quite a lot of optimization here, as you can see, and this one's fairly good. We've got maximum life, physical damage, and weapon swap speed. So those are the ones that I've gone for. I'm going for. Again, this build is definitely not optimized. There's plenty of scope to increase this. Another good one here: 14% increased maximum life to minions, 15% increased global physical damage, and Warcry speed as well. Don't matter too much about the Warcry speed, but if we can get it off so we can blow up our minions, all the better. And we've actually we've got minion life back down here as well. So that's pretty much the passive tree. Yeah, if you got any questions on that, do let me know in the comment section. That's the bare bones of this build. Hope you guys enjoyed the run through of it. There's plenty of scope for you guys to change it, optimize it. I do feel the Deidbell's got quite a lot of opportunity, should I say, to have a bit of fun with it. Subsequently, since I've been playing other builds, it can feel fairly slow, but the damage concentrated in that small area is huge for just like smashing bosses in. So I would put this more on map clearing if you're just focusing on the skulls, the elites, and killing bosses, and basically just walk past all the standard trash mobs, because you know, why do we need to attack them when we just want to clear maps? So yeah, kind of it's different, a bit unique. I hope you guys enjoy it anyway, and do let me know in the comment section what you guys think of it, and I'll see you in the next quirky build video. Take it easy, guys. Fragman out.